Amy, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Doug. How are you?
Hi, good to have you here. Thank you so much for doing this. And I was describing to the crew earlier today how we met, that you had actually reached out to our fraud fighter call center in Seattle about a year ago now, and were courageous enough to let us come and videotape an interview with you, some of which we showed on this broadcast. I'd just like to sort of have a short dialogue with you and have you, if you can, in a relatively short amount of time, tell a little bit more about your story. First off, could you just describe why you went on to into the online dating world?
Yeah, well, I think probably like a lot of people in their, I'm going to say, mid-50s and up into their 60s, after they've lost a partner and it's kind of an awkward time in life to get started and get out meeting people, a lot of my friends and family had encouraged me to give online dating a chance, because we all knew some people that had pretty good luck with and pretty good success. So by the time, a couple of years had passed, I thought maybe it was time to start meeting people, and there was no way to really meet people in a small town here where I live. So I took a dive.
Yeah. And what was it that attracted you to this particular ad that you ended up responding to?
Well, what ended up happening is after I had perused the pictures and read the profiles for quite a long time, really over a year, I got to this last period that fall, and had probably narrowed it down to maybe 6 or 7 guys, and all of them were like, say, between a 90 and 100% match for me. And I figured, since Match.com was probably doing pretty good algorithms, I felt pretty safe that all those guys were probably going to be pretty good choices. And as I worked through the different ones and talked to them and emailed back and forth and met a few of them out for coffee or lunch, he ended up being the one that was the most interesting. And he was a really articulate, intelligent, well-traveled, charming. He had a kind of a sexy British accent. He had a great sense of humor. And we talked for hours and hours and hours, hundreds of hours. And at some point, his voice became very mesmerizing, and I really became very attached to him.
Yeah, I remember when we were interviewing you last year that you kept mentioning the voice. There was something about the voice.
Well, I kind of look back now, and if he had been a real person, and if he had actually been real, the pictures that he had sent, the stories he told me about the pictures and the things he had done, the conversations we had, I probably would have been just as attracted to him had he been real as had he not been real. But I think as time went on, and he kept putting off the dates, one crisis after another, which is one of the things that tends to happen, he would put off the trips here so we could meet in person. And I think at that point, all you really have that's real are your conversations. So, yeah, the voice at some point became very mesmerizing, and that was really the only thing that was real about him as time went on.
We're unfortunately limited in time here, but one thing I did want to get to, we talk about ether and them, falling in love, basically. Could you describe, was there a moment when you it clicked? I think I remember you saying something about it clicked in your head that this possibly was the guy, and how that changed your thinking about it. Well, yeah.
I started developing some feelings and thought he might be a great choice. I said some prayers about it. And so in one of our conversations, and this was probably only a few weeks into it, he said something like, I'm really attracted to you. I've really enjoyed our conversations. I'm so looking forward to meeting you. I think I'm kind of starting to fall in love with you. And it just kind of clicked. I thought, wow, this could be the guy. I mean, this is really great. I mean, he's everything I'm looking for. And so I think about that time, I made some jokes later that he put me under a voodoo or a juju spell, but, it happened that quickly, and I really felt like I was his partner, or was going to be his partner someday.
Amy, Mark Oppold, thank you so much. We could carry the conversation for the whole hour and be very helpful to the rest of our viewers. We're going to let you go, though. I have one last question for our viewers and listeners, Amy. If you could give them one piece of advice, they may use, a lot of people will use them, as Doug has mentioned. A lot of them work. We had a caller that had been married 9 years, met her husband online. But what advice would you give people to watch out for, just a piece of advice?
I think, and I'm happy to hear some folks have some pretty good stories. I think my main advice at this point, having survived this, is, yeah, we are embarrassed, we are a little ashamed, we are humiliated, and that's part of what they do. But we go on and we live on. But I would say probably the most important thing people need to start doing is before you click that button that says, I agree, the terms and the agreements, don't be so excited about trying to meet somebody or download the latest app. Take your time to read those terms and agreement, because this is a legal relationship you're entering into, and no one's going to look out for you but yourself.
Well put. Going back to Amy here, well-educated, obviously, you can hear by her voice, well-educated, a good job, a lot of friends.
Yeah.
How does that happen to that kind of a person?
Well, you know, when we talk to these people who did this for a living, they say there are very discrete stages that the swindler, the romance scammer, will go through. The first is cast a broad net, and in the internet age, it's easy to do that now. You can get these fake websites, and what they describe is they'll go into a site. It's so easy to pretend to be someone else now. You go onto a site with bikini-clad women. You pick the most beautiful woman. This is what Anaton, our guy, did. And he just poses. He posts that on a dating site. He has a description of himself that says, I like everything. I like all kinds of music. I like all kinds of, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, right? And that lures them in. Stage 2 is something called love bombing. And you heard Amy talk about this, where she was talking to this guy for hundreds of hours. And what is he doing? The second phone call, I think he said, I think I'm in love with you. And that's called love bombing. And this is all designed to induce the person to fall in love, get them under the ether. And then stage 3 is to ask for money. Never ask for just money you're not going to pay back. Ask to borrow money. Something happened with my business unexpectedly. And what Anaton says is, in stage 2, you've got to get the relationship from I'm me and you're you to it's a we now. So in some of those email dialogues, you hear them talking about us. And so when he asks for money, it's just like, I'm not asking for money for me, I'm asking it for us.
Yeah, all of a sudden, you and I become we.
Yeah, and so it's not, I'm not really paying for something, I'm not giving you money, I'm just helping my betrothed other, you know?
Mm-hmm. Wow. You also have visited with a scammer. Is going to be very helpful, I think, to people as we move forward right now. Talk about that.
Yeah, we interviewed a guy. I heard him interviewed on BBC about 1.5 years ago. His name is Anaton. He hasn't done this, he says, since 2008. But when he was 18 years old, his father taught him how to do it. He's from Lagos, Nigeria. Are people on dating websites more vulnerable than other people?
Yeah, definitely. Because you are presenting a fake identity. Somebody who is lonely is so easy to get because they have a vacuum in their hearts that they want to fill, and you're able to get so much information from them rapidly. To get them to give you money becomes easy, and to get them to open up their hearts to you, it becomes very, very easy. In that they are lonely, they want a man in their lives, and they are on the verge of being depressed. And in a very desperate situation. Most of the people who are lonely are desperate people. A lonely heart is a vulnerable heart, and it makes it easy for you. Someone who is lonely is extremely very vulnerable.